Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We are broadcasting from the Thacker Jewelry Studios. View loose diamonds, custom design, and more at thackerjewelry.com. We want to go directly to the phones. We've got Eddie McBride, the CEO and president of the Chamber of Commerce here in Lubbock. Eddie, I know we talked to you just a couple of weeks ago, but the world's been changing so much, especially in the business sense. How are things going over at the Chamber of Commerce?
Good morning, Matt. Hello, Dave. It's another day of another Groundhog Day. You know, one of these. Oh my gosh! It just this COVID stuff just keeps on going and keeps coming up every day, doesn't it?
It does, and it's just I don't know how to take it. You know, of course, we've got Fauci coming out. He said that that there's a big worry about when COVID-19 and the flu hit at the same time. And that's something I've been kind of talking about a little bit for a while is, if we continue to push everything back and try to hold coronavirus back and then we hit flu season, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, it is a concern because, now the push is to make sure that you get vaccinated for the flu. And I don't know which flu we're going to get vaccinated for. It's changes the strain, adjust every year, and it's just one of these things that makes difficult decisions. You really have to pay attention to what's going on, and then the hype is just surrounds everything. It's taking its toll on people emotionally and socially, and of course the business community. Just all we're trying to do is to get back open and generate business. That's one of the things that we're trying our best to do.
So Eddie, let me
ask you something, Eddie. One of the pressing issues that and I don't know if you have an answer to this, but they're hearing a lot of talk, and that there will be a lot of businesses that will not reopen even at the end of this pandemic, but particularly restaurants. And I want to see if you have any special knowledge or at least special thoughts about that, or maybe some insight.
Well, if you don't get back to 100%, the only way that a restaurant's really going to make money is if they're at 100% occupancy. They've been doing a lot of interesting and entrepreneurial things to change the way that they deliver their product, whether it be curbside delivery, whether it be takeout, whether it be whatever changes they've had to make to survive through COVID. And I'm sure that model, we're hoping, obviously will satisfy the needs for a lot of those restaurants as much as they can, because a lot of them are doing better by having that curbside and takeout than they are by up to 50% occupancy. Now, I also know that folks who aren't able to really make a lot of money at 50% occupancy, it's difficult for them to remain open for a long period of time with that. I mean, with the cost of overhead and everything that they're trying to put out, it's extremely difficult. And then you have one of my concerns right now coming up is the football season.
Yeah.
If the football season goes away, excuse me, if it goes away, then obviously that's going to have another death blow on quite a few businesses that are operating in the margins. They don't have much cash on hand, and if they don't get that influx of revenue through the rest of this fall, I mean, and they're counting on it. It's going to be very difficult.
So how much money does the football season bring? And I mean, even if we have a football season, are we going to even see the kind of numbers that we would normally see in a regular season anyway?
Matt, we hadn't done any. Excuse me. We haven't done any calculations for quite some time, but I know that it's in each home game, as you can imagine, a non-conference game versus a conference game versus playing Oklahoma or Texas, something like that. They have different amounts of impact that they have on the weekends. But at one point in time, we know, and this was 10 years ago when we were doing this study, that some of these games bring in $5-6 million a weekend. Some bring $8 or more million, and that was 10 years ago. So you just add those inflation factors, and obviously it's going to be a tremendous impact. And it's not just on people who travel. The hotels, of course, are going to be hurt even worse if they don't have that increase. But it's the restaurants, and if bars were to open back up, the impact on their business as well. But even people, going to the grocery store and buying stuff to have their own tailgates at their house or anything else, there's a lot of economic vitality that is generated from a football season. and even other fall sports, that if we don't have these fall sports, I think it's going to continue our difficult opportunities to reopen.
And not only that, it's going to have an effect on the psyche of
people. The emotional and social well-being. I've told everybody if we don't have football, I'm going to be seriously depressed, and I'm probably not too far off. But
I hear you. There's going to be a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people. I'm not one of them, but then again, I look forward to the fall and all the sports and the hoopla that happens, and I think there's a lot of people who live and die with it, and that's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I know I'm reading this piece from the AJ. I think it's in today's paper, Eddie. You said the Lubbock Chamber encourages local businesses as well as the entire community to display banners, flags, and signage to welcome back the students now through Labor Day. And boy, I'll tell you, I think that is something that people. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of that, but this is something I think that can go a long way into welcoming these kids back to here to Lubbock and to tell them, hey, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, we need to, and not just them. When their parents bring them to town, we want their parents to know that obviously we're happy they're dropping their kids off in our community, and we want a safe community for them to live in, and that we're going to do as much as we can, and we want them to spend every dime that they have available to spend. We want them to spend here in Lubbock, Texas.
Absolutely.
So that's a big deal, having these students come back to town, obviously, for our economy. It's a huge deal.
Yeah. Eddie, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll come back. Like I said, we're talking with Eddie McBride, the president and CEO of the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We're going to go back directly to the phones to talk to Eddie McBride, the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce here in Lubbock, Texas. And Eddie, let's talk about what you have going on at the Chamber of Commerce.
Well, we got a busy cycle right now. The stuff we got going on. We have a great webinar tomorrow with the CEO of the Dallas Fed, Robert Kaplan, and our early conversations we had with him yesterday to help organize and make sure we're doing a good webinar tomorrow. I'm really excited about what his assessment of what he's going to provide tomorrow for the U.S. economy, and also what he's going to be assessing for the global economy. Have a lot of confidence in the Dallas Fed, and especially their surveys and the information they analyze. So it's 10 o'clock tomorrow. All the information on our website at lubbock.chamber.com, but it's going to be a good chance to hear up front and close and personal from somebody that knows what they're talking about, which is a good deal. We have Leadership Lubbock applications for the 2021 year that are out. And if anybody's interested in our Leadership Lubbock program, again, go to our website or call us at 761-7000. We'll tell you how to get a hold of them. And simultaneously, we have our young professionals, our top 20 under 40 nomination process is open as well. And we always enjoy recognizing the not necessarily the up-and-comers. Some of these folks that we recognize are already leaders in our community. So that process is underway. And then on August 18th, the next big thing we have coming, we have a 10-part series, our COVID Pivot webinar series about helping businesses recover, reopen, and get ready for what their future is post-COVID. We're going to have a series of webinars that start on August 18th. So we're doing a lot to try to support small businesses in general. And obviously you talked about putting flags out to welcome back not just Tech students, but LCU, Wayland Baptist, and South Plains College students. We're trying to do our best to do that. And we're also trying to have a kickoff breakfast, and that looks like it might not be until the spring if everything keeps going according to what we're hearing. Wouldn't that be weird, having football in spring?
Yeah, that would be way weird.
Yeah,
we're going to have Dr. Skubinik. He's scheduled to be on the show tomorrow. And we've got a lot of questions that we'll ask him. And if you have any you want us to ask, Eddie, let us know.
You bet. I'm excited about it, where we hear that it's going to be another big freshman season for enrollment. As far as gaining more and more students at Tech is extremely important, both for the university as well as it is our community. And certainly I'm happy about all the successes that Tech are having. And can you imagine how difficult it is to try to plan for the opening of campus, whether it be at college or even at our high schools. Yesterday morning,
really
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's got to be really tough. Quick question. One of the things that I'm seeing that is really taking it on the chin is the leisure industry, the travel industry, airlines, hotels. Now, I know we've had a building boom of hotels in particular here in Lubbock in the last few years. We've got thousands and thousands of new rooms. And do you have a handle on the hot tax and where we are on it and the hotels that's being built downtown? And I think the hot tax was going to, of course, build the arena. Is that not right?
Well, I did hear the judge on y'all's show last week when he talked about how much is actually being collected, and heard Randy Jordan talking about it. Now, if you're talking about just the Expo Center, we do know that the sales tax the hot tax that's being collected is down from where they were expecting to be, and that was to be expected. They knew that was going to happen because of obviously COVID cutting back travel and not as much hotel business going on. And hotel business is down tremendously and trying to come back. And we hope through the travel seasons you see a little bit of uptick over this summer as far as some of the events where families were able to come into town safely and still participate in some of the sporting events for their kids. But it's still going to be a long road. I mean, if we don't have a reason for more people to come to town, it's going to be bad. But I did hear one very encouraging thing last Friday. Of all the jobs, the 1 million plus jobs that have been completed, over 1/3 of them that had been completed was in the leisure and entertainment industry. So that is good news because they were one of the hardest hit of all the folks that were laid off and lost their jobs. So it's good to hear that some of those jobs are coming back. Even if it's just a third, it is good to have those people back in the workforce.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, have you heard? I know that you keep a tally of this, but have you talked to any more businesses since the last time we talked that have already told you that they're going to be closing their doors?
Yeah, it's still difficult. We're still searching the information. We cannot find where there is an estimate on how many businesses have actually shuttered their doors. So, as you know, we talk to hundreds of businesses on a weekly basis, and so we know a percentage of our membership that have told us that they are out of business, that they are no longer in operation. There's a bunch of businesses we haven't heard back from, so we don't know. But from all of our calculations, if there was an estimate, if somebody said, okay, throw something out that you think that you can back up, we know that probably over 200 businesses in Lubbock have closed. The Avalanche Journal had an article a week before last about the actual businesses. They had less than a couple of dozen businesses.
I was going to say they only had about 20 businesses on that list.
Yeah, it was less than a couple of dozen. But and we provided some names of the folks who have told us too. But you got to remember, some of those folks, no sooner they close a business, they also not only they shut the doors, but they shut the telephones off if they don't use their personal phone for the business. So it's really hard to track right now, but we know that 200 might be an exaggeration, but we use that as a number to let people know that there's a lot of people whose livelihoods have been seriously hurt by this COVID. That we got to figure out a way for more jobs to be created. We got to figure out for more folks to open up the jobs that they furloughed folks, and so that's what we're hoping is going to continue going forward, is that we increase those opportunities.
All right, we got to take another quick break. We're talking to Eddie McBride, the president and CEO of the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. Again, we've got Eddie McBride, president and CEO of the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce on the line. And Eddie, I've got one more quick question for you. We don't have a lot of time. But the question I have is, I know that you had sent a letter to the governor, and I don't know if you've heard anything back, but I know that places such as Jake's and some other ones that have been reported in Lubbock are looking at changing over to be considered more of a restaurant style. Have you been working with those businesses to figure out how they can open? Yeah,
the TABC, right after we sent our letter, the TABC came out with another finding that if they can prove through their gross receipts that they obviously get 51% of their revenue from food, then obviously they can open their areas back up. And several of the local breweries have been able to do that, and also working with the wineries for the same respect as well. But we reached back out to the governor's office, but haven't heard anything back about any movement to either answer our letter or to address the issue again. But at least from the TABC being a little bit more willing to work with folks who, again, changed their model, who have changed what they've been doing to allow them to keep open. That's what was more important. And so we appreciate the TABC for that effort in that respect. So hopefully they can be a little bit more understanding what the situation is and give them more of a break and let them open even more so.
Well, and I kind of wonder if a business says, "Hey, look, I'm going to step away from the 51% for now. I'm going to do food and make sure that we stick with food more than drinks." If they could give them a break and let them go ahead and open.
Yeah, if they got to do it for a period of time to be able to be treated like a restaurant. So let's.
Well,
just
I know,
that,
but shouldn't this be something that maybe they have a little grace with and give them a chance to open up and make it happen?
Now, Matt, why would you speak logically? I mean, of course they would, but we're not talking logic in this day and age necessarily. And I'm just glad that they did the little bit that they did. That showed that they're willing to at least be a little flexible.
Yeah.
Let's just hope that they take it the next couple of steps, like your suggestion, because that's what we need to have them do.
Yeah. All right. Well, Eddie, thanks for coming on. Eddie McBride, President and CEO of the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce. We'll talk to you again soon.
Matt and Dave, thank y'all very much.
Thank you,
We
Eddie.
appreciate you.
All right.